what we're going to look at next is the configuration panel. So what I'll do is I'll step you through some of the basic information around this section. Then what we can do is we can jump into a real environment and show you a little bit of some of those key items that you might see and might use quite often within the configuration section. So firstly, you'll have 4 items here. You'll have your configuration, you'll have your content settings, your images and maps, and your email template. And these are really the key parts for configuring, styling, setting, and arranging your Yellowfin environment. So what we might do is go through those in a little bit more detail. So firstly, when you're looking at your configuration, there'll be 5 key areas that you can configure. So your email setup, so things like your outgoing email servers. So maybe how do you want to alert your users? Do you want to use a particular email server to distribute your reports and your alerts to your users? It will focus mostly on that. System will give you some general system information. As you can see here, there's things like default logos, how your views are set up, how you are exporting particular PDF documents. There'll also be regional settings. And what that will do is it will give you information around things like your time zones that you're currently working with the ability to configure and set those. You'll also have an authentication tab, which you see would be the little lock tab there. That will allow you to define and refine your authentication methods and even start to authenticate using things like LDAP or Active Directory settings. So that's one in particular I'll show you in my real environment. And lastly, you have the integration tab, which really helps you to be able to integrate Yellowfin by allowing you to bring in things like custom headers, footers, navigation panes on your left and right, and really customize a bit more of the look and feel if you were integrating Yellowfin or embedding Yellowfin within other applications, or even just restyling. The next item you see there is the content settings. So really this is completely focused on how Yellowfin is going to look and feel. Really things like the style, so the colors, the fonts, the formatting, being able to define those items at the application level so they are the defaults across the application, across all sets of content. And you'll have some key items here, so you'll be able to have your report tab, so focusing on some of the styling, the colors. You'll be able to define your charts, things like default chart colors, sizes, fonts. You'll also be able to find your dashboards and your storyboards as well. So things like your layouts, how often they're refreshed, the sizing, all that is very easily configured throughout the content settings section. What you'll also have is the ability to define and configure your images and maps within Yellowfin. So Yellowfin will allow you to manage a range of different items here. So firstly, you can easily manage uploaded images that you might want to use. You can also manage things like maps that you're adding in. So that could be something like a raster map, it could be a mapping server layer as well. So you can manage these items, update them, and be able to keep on top of those very quickly and easily here. Lastly, in the configuration section, you'll have the ability to manage and configure your email templates. So this will be the template that is used whenever any system generated emails are sent out to your users. For instance, you might have a report that's been sent out to your user as a HTML report. So this would be the actual template that will be used for the alert for that. So the user would see this particular text, this particular style, layout, fonts, headers, and that would be consistent then across your environment whenever an alert is sent out or any kind of email is sent out to your particular users. So that's a great way to make sure all the styling is kept very consistent across your environment when the alerts are working out. Okay, so what we might do is jump across quickly into my live environment to have a look at these 4 sections in more detail. So if I go to my administration console, again we can see that the top right is where I have my configuration options. So again, firstly I will look at configuration. So here you'll have your email settings. As I mentioned, you can configure these with things like default names, default broadcast address. You can choose what kind of broadcasts are going through. So one key one here is if you wanted to make sure that users are alerted when certain things are happening in Yellowfin, you can make sure that email notifications are turned on and be able to select the type of notifications that you might want. So that's a key item there. Another key item, if you look at the outgoing mail server, this is where you can set up your outgoing server, so something like a SMPT server, and this will be used to distribute those emails or those alerts that you want to use within Yellowfin or you want to send out to your particular users. And here you can involve different types of encryption and authentication as well, and this even gives you the option to test that out quickly and easily.